From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. returned Wednesday to the Philippines following a two-day working visit to the United Arab Emirates or UAE, where he secured a landmark free trade agreement and a defense cooperation pact aimed at strengthening bilateral ties between the two countries. President Marcos said his visit focused on advancing discussions on building a future-ready world, particularly through cooperation in key sectors such as energy, water, finance, food, and the environment, stressing that these have direct impact on Filipinos at home and abroad. He participated in high-level discussions during the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, ADSW, which he described as the largest gathering of world leaders focused on sustainability and global development. President Marcos said major outcomes of his visit was the signing of the Philippines-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA, the country's first free trade agreement with a Gulf state. He said the agreement would expand Philippine market access in the Middle East, especially in the Gulf region, while diversifying sources and markets for essential goods. A key feature of the CEPA is the liberalization of trade in services in the UAE, including professional services, health, construction, and information technology. He also reported the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding on Defense Cooperation, which will serve as a platform for collaboration on advanced defense technologies, including unmanned aerial systems, electronic warfare, and naval systems. He said the agreement would further strengthen defense and military relations through education and training, intelligence and security sharing, and cooperation in anti-terrorism, maritime security, and peacekeeping operations. President Marcos expressed appreciation to UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and the UAE government for hosting the Sustainability Forum and for fostering stronger bilateral relations grounded in long-standing people-to-people ties. The president said the Philippines will continue to enhance relations with partner countries to strengthen the economy and promote peace and stability for the benefit of the Filipino people.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has expressed excitement over the planned investment of a Dubai-based firm to establish what is said to be the biggest data center in the Philippines, viewing it as an opportunity to position the country as an emerging data center hub in the region. This came after President Marcos met with top executives of Damak Digital at the Emirates Palace Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Abu Dhabi Tuesday to discuss the company's planned investments in the Philippines, including the establishment of a data center in Laguna. President Marcos, accompanied by several cabinet secretaries, met with the MAC officials led by company founder and chairperson Hussein Sajwani. During the meeting, President Marcos and Sajwani discussed opportunities for collaboration in the Philippines' digital infrastructure sector, underscoring the country's potential as a hub for data centers, cloud services, and AI-driven technologies, according to a press release from the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO. Since its launch, Damak Digital has grown into an international platform operating in 11 countries, including the UAE, the United States, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Southeast Asia, and Europe. It employs over 100 professionals and is targeting a global capacity of 4,000 megawatts, or MW, by 2025, as well as 55 megawatts in the Middle East by the end of the same year. As part of its Southeast Asia strategy, the MAC Digital has committed over $3 billion in investments aiming to achieve 250 megawatts of operational capacity by 2026. The business meeting is part of President Marcos's two-day working visit to Abu Dhabi, which also included his participation in the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week or ADSW 2026 Summit and the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA. Cabinet officials present during the meeting were Trade Secretary Maria Cristina Roque, Information and Communications Technology Secretary Henry Aguda, Finance Acting Secretary Frederick Go, Presidential Communications Office Acting Secretary Dave Gomez, Philippine Ambassador to the UAE Alfonso Ver, and Special Envoy of the President to the UAE for Trade and Investment Katrina U. Pimentel. The MAC Digital is the digital infrastructure and data center arm of the Dubai-headquartered the MAC Group. Originally launched in 2021 as EDG Next Data Centers, the company was rebranded in June 2025 to reflect its expanded global ambitions and alignment with the MAC Group's strategic vision to become a leader in the digital infrastructure. The company designs, builds, and operates data centers that support hyperscale, whole-scale, retail colocation, cloud services, and AI-intensive workloads with an emphasis on innovation, sustainability, and global connectivity. It also aims to provide infrastructure that meets high-density computing needs and future digital demand.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines signed a free trade agreement or FTA with the United Arab Emirates or UAE, marking Manila's first pact with a Gulf state and a milestone in expanding its global trade footprint. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan witnessed the signing in exchange of the historic Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA on the sidelines of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, ADSW 2026 Summit held at the Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Center. Trade Secretary Maria Cristina Roque signed the CEPA on behalf of the Philippines. And the PCO said the CEPA between the Philippines and the UAE seeks to reduce tariffs, enhance market access for goods and services, increase investment flows, and create new opportunities for Filipino professionals and service providers in the Emirates. The Free Trade Pact covers strategic sectors such as digital trade, micro, small, and medium enterprises, or the MSMEs, sustainable development, intellectual property, competition and consumer protection, government procurement, and technical cooperation. Philippine exports expected to benefit include bananas, pineapples, canned tuna, electronics, machinery, and other high-demand products. Bilateral trade between the two nations reached $1.83 billion in 2024, with the UAE ranking 18th among the Philippines' trading partners and accounting for nearly 39% of Philippine exports to the Middle East. Preliminary studies suggest the CEPA could boost Philippine exports to the UAE by 9.13%, generate consumer savings, and strengthen overall trade linkages with the Gulf region. On services, the CEPA ensures a stable, non-discriminatory environment for Filipino firms, including MSMEs, across sectors such as information technology and business process management, tourism, healthcare, education, construction, and professional services. The CEPA complements the Philippines' network of FTAs with Japan, South Korea, the European Free Trade Association, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and the trade partners including from the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. It will also reinforce existing Philippines-UAE agreements including the Investment Promotion and Protection Agreement and cooperation on trade, energy logistics, innovation, and tourism. First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, Foreign Affairs Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro, Finance Acting Secretary Frederick Go, and Special Envoy to the UAE for Trade and Investment Katrina Pimentel were also present during the signing of the CEPA. The signing ceremony was followed by a brief meeting between President Marcos and Al Nahyan, marking their second engagement since November 2024 and signaling a deepening partnership between Manila and Abu Dhabi.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. commended the Filipino community in the United Arab Emirates or UAE for their contributions to both their host country and the Philippines, calling overseas Filipinos a source of pride and honor for the nation. Addressing around 700 members of the Filipino community at the Intercontinental Hotel in Abu Dhabi, President Marcos underscored the vital role Filipinos have played in the UAE's development since its founding in 1971.
Dahil po, nagbibigay ng karangalan sa ating bansa, kayo po ang nagbibigay ng karangalan sa ating bansa pamamagitan ng inyong kontribusyon sa United Arab Emirates, sa magandang ehemplo na inyong ipinakita sa inyong trabaho, sa inyong mga kapwa Pilipino, sa pamahalaan ng UAE, sa iba't ibang mga lahi na nanirirahan dito, at sa kontribusyon ng inyong ibinigay sa ekonomiya sa ating minamahal na Pilipinas.
The President also praised overseas Filipino workers or OFWs for their resilience and hard work, saying their dedication has earned the respect of employers, communities, and leaders across the globe. He assured OFWs that the Philippine government remains committed to protecting their welfare and implementing programs that address their needs. He also cited efforts to expand employment opportunities and strengthen economic ties with the UAE through trade and investment cooperation, noting that such initiatives aim to give Filipino workers and entrepreneurs access to broader markets and diverse industries. President Marcos encouraged Filipinos to pursue lifelong learning and skills development and urged them to sustain the spirit of bayanihan or cooperation by supporting one another and growing together as a community. During his two-day working visit to the UAE, President Marcos witnessed the signing of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA with UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. A memorandum of understanding on defense cooperation was also signed. The president said the agreements would further strengthen trade, security, and overall partnership between the Philippines and the UAE. Also present during the event were First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos, Foreign Affairs Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro, Finance Acting Secretary Frederick Go, Presidential Communications Office Acting Secretary Dave Gomez, Department of Migrant Workers DMW Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration OWA Administrator Patricia Yvonne Kaunan, and Philippine Ambassador to the UAE Alfonso Ver.
Dateline Malacañang.
First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos has ordered the Department of Migrant Workers or DMW and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA to provide urgent medical care and assist a child of an overseas Filipino worker or OFW who is in a hospital in Abu Dhabi. The First Lady made the order during the Bagong Bayani Mundo OFW Mini Servicio Caravan held in Abu Dhabi. Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak shared the information on social media. Kakdak said the First Lady's directive is to ensure that the child receives the immediate medical attention and surgery needs, including an air ambulance from Abu Dhabi. In December last year, a local Filipino magazine, the Global Filipino in Abu Dhabi published an appeal made by Andre's father, OFW Jean Lloyd Limbaring from Tangub City, Misamis Occidental, asking for help for his son who was diagnosed with a rare malignant brain tumor affecting his brainstem. Andre's condition was first diagnosed in 2019 when the child was only 1 year old. He has since undergone 4 major brain surgeries, including chemotherapy and 2 rounds of radiation following multiple tumor recurrences. However, scans taken in September 2025 revealed another recurrence, and local doctors in the UAE said they have already exhausted all possible treatment options there. Specialists recommended further surgery and chemotherapy in Spain, where more advanced care for complex pediatric cases is available. But with Andre's condition, the only safe option for his transfer is through an air ambulance, which the family cannot afford, much less the costs of the treatment in Spain. After hearing the story, the First Lady issued an order to DMW and OWA to provide urgent medical assistance, including arrangements for surgery and safe transport to Spain once medically cleared. Meanwhile, Kakdak said the First Lady also led the distribution of medical and financial aid to more than 100 OFW cancer patients in Abu Dhabi, supplementing the ongoing support of the DMW and OWA. Kakdak said the OFW Servisyo Caravan highlights the Marcos administration's commitment to bringing government services closer to OFWs and responding swiftly to urgent welfare and medical needs, particularly for vulnerable families facing life-threatening conditions abroad. Before Abu Dhabi, the DMW also conducted a caravan in Dubai from January 8 to January 12, where a total of 10,559 government transactions were delivered to about 5,536 OFWs.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has approved the establishment and expansion of special economic zones or eco-zones in Batangas and Iloilo, a move expected to generate thousands of new jobs in manufacturing and information technology and further disperse investments beyond Metro Manila. Executive Secretary Ralph Recto Wednesday said the new eco-zones underscore the administration's strategy of bringing economic opportunities closer to Filipinos in the regions. Under Proclamation number 1127, several parcels of land in Barangay Pagaspas and Trapiche in Tanawan City, Batangas were incorporated into the existing First Industrial Township Special Economic Zone or FITSEZ. The FITSEZ currently hosts 14 Philippine Economic Zone Authority or PEZA registered enterprises, employing a total of 1,634 workers. With the expansion, the Eco Zone is projected to attract additional manufacturing locators, generate approximately 1.5 billion pesos in new investments, and create a further 1,850 jobs. Meanwhile, Proclamation number 1128 established several parcels of land along Donato Pison Avenue in Barangay San Rafael, Mandurriao District, Iloilo City, as a new Information Technology Park Special Economic Zone to be known as Atria Gardens. The IT park is expected to draw 550 million pesos in investments and generate around 2,200 jobs, further strengthening Iloilo's position as a growing hub for information technology and business process services. The proclamations were signed by Recto on January 6, 2026, following the recommendation of the PEZA Board of Directors. Special economic zones are designated areas where businesses enjoy fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, depending on their location and priority industry. These zones include industrial estates, export processing zones, IT parks, and tourism and recreational economic zones. The newly approved eco zones are subject to compliance with Republic Act RA 7916 or the Special Economic Zone Act of 1995 as amended by RA 8748, its implementing rules and regulations and relevant PEZA issuances.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. continues to have confidence in the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, despite criticisms and questions about the body's viability. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the President has not withdrawn his trust in the ICI, stressing that its mandate remains focused on accountability.
Siguro po, muli kay Mayor Magalong, wag niya naman muna pong pangunahan kung anong nasa isip ng Pangulo. Sa ngayon po, nandiyan po ang tiwala ng Pangulo sa ICI. Ang nais lang din po ay mapanagot ang lahat mapanagot. Walang sinisino, walang kinikilingan. At hayaan na lang po natin muna kung ano po ang mangyayari sa ICI dahil sa ngayon po, ang tiwala ng Pangulo sa ICI ay nandiyan pa rin po. So kung ano man po ang sinasabi ng iba, hayaan na natin at huwag pangunahan ng Pangulo.
She made the statement following remarks by Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong, who rated the ICI's performance poorly and called for its abolition, and former Senate President Franklin Drilon, who earlier said the commission could no longer function. She said the palace would rather allow ICI to complete its work instead of preempting the president's possession. Addressing concerns that the ICI has been left with only one commissioner following recent departures, Castro said the lack of commissioners does not prevent the body from recommending cases for investigation. She added that even if only ICI Chair retired Justice Andres Reyes remains, the commission can still recommend the filing of cases provided there is sufficient evidence. The palace official clarified that since the ICI's function is recommendatory, it does not necessarily require a quorum to forward cases to the Department of Justice or the Office of the Ombudsman. President Marcos created an independent fact-finding body in September last year to investigate alleged irregularities in government flood control and other infrastructure projects.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday dismissed as fake news the allegations linking 7.5 billion pesos in government funds to the Office of the Executive Secretary or OES, saying the claims were based on unverified documents and unsupported insinuations. Palace Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Claire Castro said the allegations based on the so-called Cabral files, allegedly obtained by Batangas 1st District Representative Leandro Leviste, are not validated.
So di po ba mas mahirap tugunan ang mga dokumentong hindi nakikita? Mahirap tugunan ang mga dokumentong puro insinuations. Mahirap tugunan ang mga dokumentong wala pang anumang basihan at wala pang ebidensya ng anumang anomalya. At nakausap naman din po natin ang Office of the Executive Secretary mula sa Office of the Executive Secretary. Ang pinatutungkulan pong ito ay tinaguriang fake news.
Leviste earlier called for an immediate and thorough investigation into the 7.5 billion pesos worth of Department of Public Works and Highways, DPWH infrastructure projects for 2025, which allegedly tagged as OPESSAP as a supposed proponent. His call came amid an ongoing probe into alleged flood control anomalies. Meanwhile, Castro clarified that issues surrounding flood control projects should not be linked to any possible impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte.
Kung sa ordinaryong pananaw, hindi naman po konektado ang flood control mess sa impeachment complaint kung isasampa man to kay Vice Presidente. Iba po ang issue ng kinapapalooban or kinakasangkutan ng Vice Presidente at iba naman po yung flood control projects. At alam po naman natin na hanggang sa ngayon, ang Pangulo at ang administrasyon ay patuloy na nagtatrabaho upang mapanagot ang dapat na mapanagot. So hindi po siguro dapat na kinukumpara, or rather hindi kinukumpara, kundi hindi dapat ini-equate, hindi siya dapat depende ang anumang desisyon patungkol sa impeachment complaint, hindi siya depende sa outcome ng pag-iimbestiga sa flood control projects.
He said Malacañang will not interfere in congressional deliberations, emphasizing that government agencies remain focused on implementing programs and projects including infrastructure and flood control initiatives intended to benefit the public. She stressed that impeachment complaints are entirely within the prerogative of lawmakers who must decide based on evidence, conscience, and the rule of law.
Kung ano po ang tinatrabaho o ginagawa po sa House of Representatives, hindi po yan saklaw ng ating Pangulo. At maliwanag naman din po ang sinabi ng Pangulo, kung may kakaroon man po ng impeachment complaint o pagsasampa ng impeachment complaint laban sa Vice Presidente, ito ay dapat na ituring na parang flood control mess, na kung kinakailangang imbestigahan na malaliman at dapat may managot, dapat na managot. Alam po nating lahat na ang mga mababatas ay binoto, dahil sila po ay may puso, may talino, at may konsensya. Alam nila ang tama at mali. Alam nila na ang kanilang gagawing trabaho ay para sa taong bayan, hindi para sa iilan lamang. So, sila na po, nasa pagdidesisyon po nila yan kung magkakaroon po ng pagsasampa ng impeachment complaint at kung ano po ang kanilang gagawing pag-resolve patungkol dyan.
As Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.